Good morning. This is Chris Marr, and this is our Friday morning legal bulletin, where we often take comments from people who are viewers about topics that are of interest to them. I have a topic I'd like to talk about this morning that affects a great number of people in the state of New York, which is where my practice is in Putnam County. And that has to do with what we call equitable distribution, which typically arises in divorce cases. Very often people say, oh, New York's a 50-50 state, meaning that in a divorce, one party to the divorce, one spouse gets 50%, the other spouse gets 50%, and they go on their separate ways. New York is definitely not a 50-50 state. New York is equitable distribution. Equitable does not necessarily mean equal, and the courts very often say that. I'm involved in a situation where the husband was seriously injured in an accident while he was married. The accident resulted in litigation that resulted in a very substantial settlement for the clients who later on got divorced or are getting divorced. And when the accident case settled, the parties signed an agreement that governed only the accident case, in which the 90% of the settlement was attributable to the husband's injuries, and 10% of the settlement was attributable to the wife for what's called loss of services of the husband to the wife from that accident. The husband thought, and it was incorrect, but he thought that that would govern any subsequent divorce action that the parties may engage in. And what he has found out is that the law in New York is equally clear that that agreement that was entered into in the personal injury settlement does not govern the rights of, in this case, the wife to equitable distribution of the proceeds of that same settlement in the party's divorce. So the moral of the story would be that you should take pains to make a decision whether you really want to have a loss of services claim as part of your personal injury claim if you're the husband. And if you do, that you have some type of a prenuptial or a postnuptial agreement that would govern what would happen in the event that there was, as in this case, a significant personal injury case that resulted in a settlement. People often talk about, and someone is asking me a question now about pensions and gifts and inheritances. Pensions, gifts, and inheritances is a very often discussed topic in divorces. But I advise people all the time that a pension to one party, or a gift to one party, or an inheritance to one party does not make it marital property subject to equitable distribution unless that party who is the recipient of the pension, gift, or inheritance takes that pension, gift, or inheritance and makes it marital by commingling it with the marital estate, such as putting it into a joint checking account, things like that. Pensions are dealt with a little differently. but there are ways to make gifts and inheritances marital property. And the important thing to remember is that if you receive, let's say, an inheritance, if you commingle that inheritance and make it marital by putting it into a marital account, then it loses its separate value. The same with a personal injury settlement. If you commingle it and make it into a marital account or put it into a marital account, it loses its separate character, and you have a situation where the spouse who is not the recipient of the personal injury settlement, such as in the case I just explained, that spouse then has equitable distribution rights. And although equitable does not mean 50-50 equal, equitable in this case, as the judge has reminded the parties, can be a significant sum of money to the spouse who was not the injured spouse. So if you have any questions about this, please don't hesitate to call me anytime or check with an attorney who is skilled in this area of the law and find out what your rights are. You can call my office anytime. And I'm quite sure that if you speak to your local knowledgeable attorney in this field, that he or she will give you some advice over the phone as well. So have a good, safe Friday, and I'll see you next Friday.